Hi everyone, I'm Tom, and this is the UK Games Expo preview. Well, I have been looking at a lot of games that are coming out at the UK Games Expo. I made the geek list for it, if you've seen that. If not, I'll put a link to it in the description where you can see, at the moment, 9 pages worth of games that are going to be at the expo for sale or for demo. You can see a ton of things, but this preview is specifically the things that I personally am most excited about, and I was originally going to make a video for all of it because that's what my original email to people went out, saying that there's going to be a list and a video. And then as soon as the list started being made, I realised how impractical that video was going to be. I did film a bit of it. I filmed about an hour's worth of me talking about everything that was on the list at that time, and I've spent quite a bit of time editing the first chunk of it. But the more I get into it, it was me looking at a laptop, basically me looking off screen at a laptop like I'm doing right now, and talking about and basically reading out the description. So I'm kind of just reading out the list. I just feel that you can read the list if you want to know everything that's going to be there, and I can talk more passionately about games that I am passionate about. So let's get started. So the first is from CGE at booth B12, and they will have Codenames Duet. I'm sure everyone knows Codenames. You've got a 5x5 grid of words, and there's 2 teams playing against each other. Some words are one team's colour, some teams are another, some are neutral, and one is the assassin that you can't say. And the teams work against each other, and whoever guesses all of their agents first wins. This takes the base gameplay of Codenames and turns it into a cooperative game. So I'm really interested to see how that works out. Next is JamSumo from Cubiko at stand F6. This is for sale, and this is not a new game. This is a new game to me, though. I had not heard about it until I can't remember what video it was at all. It was a Rado video. He was talking about games, and he just had this wooden thing that was a dexterity game, a dice flicking game, and it sounded kind of interesting, but I just forgot straight about it. And then when I was, I made the UK Games Expo list, and going through that and getting publishers telling me what they're bringing to the expo, I was reminded, oh, JamSumo, this is the game I was excited about. And it's this, everything is this lovely handmade wooden thing. He's got a few games there, but they're all on lovely wooden. This is like a little wooden table, and everyone has dice in the corners, and there's 2 different games you can play where, I think one where you're trying to keep your dice on, and one where you're trying to knock your dice out through the hole. But it seems like a really interesting dexterity game, and something really unique as well, something that looks lovely and is very personally made. So I definitely want to check that out. That's JamSumo for sale. Next is Barcelona, The Rose of Fire, which is going to be available from Devere at stand E22. And this is a game that may have been on my Essen list. If not, it should have been. I think it was one I meant to go and check out there and never got to. But it's an area control game, which I don't tend to like just in itself, but the theme around it sounds really interesting. It's a tile-laying game where we are trying to build modern Barcelona and build all of these great things for the rich people and the better off people, but as we are building these things, our workers need to live somewhere, and we need to, as well as scoring points by impressing all of the rich folk, we need to find places for our workers and things to live. Otherwise, we are going to, incite strikes and things. So that sounds like a really interesting, dynamic of balancing these 2 things out, and I definitely want to check that out. Barcelona, The Rose of Fire will be for sale. Next is Century Spice Road from Plan B Games, but it's actually going to be available from Esdevium at stand A29 in limited numbers, apparently. This seems to be a game that's talked about quite a lot. It's a game where we are spice merchants, and it's quite simple to learn. There are only a few actions in the game. You start off with a hand of 2 cards. You can either get new cards, or you can play the cards. The cards will generally either get you cubes or let you make your cubes better, turn your cubes into different combinations of cubes. There's a hierarchy of the colours of cubes, and all of it is in aid of filling in these order cards. You know, you need 3 browns and 2 yellows to be able to take this, and it will give you 12 points, for example. You know, it's a race to that. There's a few extra things going on as well, but it seems like quite an interesting game with a very easy to learn system. Next is Scrumpy, which will be available to demo at stand G13 from Invincible Games. And this is a deck building game where you're trying to produce cider, but it's got a few twists on deck builders in that some of the cards that you have are also the things you need to produce, like barrels and apples and things, but also you have options where you can leave cards active in a turn and then draw fewer cards next turn. And that's all I know pretty much at the moment, but I'm definitely going to be heading over to check that out. Next is Magnificent Flying Machines, which will be available to demo from Medusa Games at stand E5. And this is a game all about, you know, early air travel in the 1900s, where they're coming up with all these crazy contraptions. We will have our own crazy contraptions, and we will be trying to not just win a race, not just cross the finish line, but there are many different ways you can score points by making sure your ship does something special, or making sure it gets it has certain abilities and things. There's a lot of different ways that you can earn points in the game, not just winning the race. And it definitely sounds interesting to me. The theme sounds really cool. There was, I think there was something in the description about, you know, cheating or sabotaging or something. So that's a little wary for me, but in general, definitely interested in checking it out. Next is Frogriders, which will be available to buy from Pegasus Spiele at stand D4. And this is from one of the designers of it, designed Flamme Rouge, which I know was a very popular game from last year. I haven't played it myself yet, but this is a game where we will have a kind of a grid of frogs, and kind of solitaire style, we'll be jumping the frogs over each other to capture one, and you can either collect them up or you can give them in for certain abilities depending on the colour of the frog. Now, it is a family game, and that's the only reservation that I've got about it, and that maybe it'll be a bit too light for me, but I'm definitely interested in checking it out. Next is UBOOT, the board game, from PHALANX at stand H2. This will be a demo, and this is a real-time cooperative game where we are all at certain posts in a submarine, and we will have certain responsibilities. It is app-driven. It sounds similar in concept, at least, to XCOM, the board game, and I played that. We found we didn't really enjoy it with 2 players, because in that there are all of these different stations, and if you don't have enough players, you just have to do more stations. And we found it just a bit of a pain with just 2 players trying to cope with 4 players worth of stuff. I spoke a little to someone from PHALANX, and they told me that if you don't have all of the players available, the app will handle those missing players. So that's interesting to me, and I'm definitely going to be checking that out. Next is 51st State Scavengers, which is an expansion from Portal Games, stand B21. That'll be for sale, you know, a big premiere for the UK Games Expo. And the reason this is on here is because I kind of just want to check out the 51st State Master Edition stuff. I've not really looked into it or seen a copy or anything. I have original 51st State that I got secondhand, and that was because I'd seen a few things about the 51st State Master Edition, maybe building in things from Imperial Settlers where the game is more about fighting each other than it was previously. I know in 51st State, the old edition that I've got, there is 1 card or 2 cards that steal something from somebody, and you can easily just play without them or use them for something else. And I'd heard that it was more, you know, that conflict was more inbuilt to the master set. So I'd be interested to hear from anyone that's played them both about what you think, because I'd rather just, you know, live and let live and build my own post-apocalyptic civilization myself. But I'm going to be checking it out, and let's see what it's like there. Next up is Seize the Bean from Quality Beast. They are at stand L11A. This is going to be available for demo. I don't know very much about it at all, but it is a game where we are baristas that have quit our jobs, and we have all opened our own coffee shops, and we are trying to make the most successful one. And you measure it through, you know, financial success, popularity, coffee quality, all these different things, and you'll be managing your resources, your customers, the queue in your shop, the stats of your shop. You'll have action cards. It's very vague what I know about it, but you know, that's why it's available to demo, and I'll find out more when I'm at the expo. Next is not a game, it's an accessory. It's Gloomhaven removable stickers. They are going to be available from Sinister Fish Games at stand G9. They're available for now from their website. But they are, Gloomhaven has legacy elements to it. You know, there are stickers that you'll put on a map. There are stickers you will put on cards in the game. A lot of stickers going on. And it's a bit late for us because these didn't come out until we were way too far into Gloomhaven to be thinking about it. But it will always be nice to have, you know, more enhancement stickers or have the option to be able to change those around. And if you are someone that has got it or back the second edition Kickstarter, then this is a way for you to, you know, keep your game replayable if you're concerned about that. Next is Snowdonia Foothills, which will be available to demo at the Surprised Stare booth, stand T9. And I know very little about this. I really love Snowdonia. I've got a ton of different scenarios and things for it. Love the base game. And this is a 2-player only specific version of it. That's about as much as I know. I'm sure I have read blog posts about it, but I couldn't find them to reference, you know, to get any details about it. But it will be available in some form to take a look at the expo, and I will definitely be racing there. And finally, Gods of Atlantis from Wolff Designa at stand D1. This is for sale, and this is not a new game either. This is apparently another one that I've just missed out on and only just found out about, and it's kind of a surprise to me that it's on this list because it is a game of fighting each other, of two teams. No matter how many players you've got, there are two teams and you will be fighting against each other. It's a board game replication of a MOBA game. They are, you know, video games, multiplayer online battle arena games. So it's trying to replicate those, and I am mainly interested because I play League of Legends, and that is one of those games, and I am very interested more than anything about how that translates from a video game to a board game, because there is a lot going on that would need to be simulated. I've heard some things about, you know, everything has one hit point in there, so it's you don't have to be tracking HP or anything. You need to be blocking those attacks because no matter how powerful you are, then you're going to die if you get hit. And it's there are no dice involved in it. It's all action cards, and you get more as you level up. You will have a specific hand size that's very limited though, and you lose cards to prevent damage to yourself. So by staying alive, you are restricting yourself because you won't be able to do as many actions. Yeah, I don't know that much about it, but I'm definitely keen to check it out. So that's it. That is all of the, you know, extra stuff that I am excited about. You know, maybe it's not in the top 10s because I don't know enough about it, or just because there are a lot of other things that I am more excited about. But if you would like to see a few more games about the UK Games Expo, I will put some links on the screen round about now that will link you to the top 10 games that will be for sale there and the top certain amount of demos. I can't remember how many it is. I'll know when I do the video, straight after this in fact. So look forward to those. Thanks for watching everyone, and maybe I'll see you at the expo. Bye.